I want to show you guys how I'm cloning my tomato plants via suckers. Now, I need to make some more room here, so I'm actually transplanting these suckers that I had done earlier. You could see the roots here, so let's see if we can, again, I'll give you a better view there. So this is a Roma tomato. Let me see if I can get this out. It might be root bound. Now, whoops, I don't want to damage myself. There we go. All right, that's coming out nicely. Let me see if I can untangle this. This thing's huge. So there's the root system. This was a sucker that I cut, and I'm going to show you how to do that. I dipped it in some root hormone, and then I put it in my 3-part growing mixture, which we'll talk more about. Now, what's the next step? What I like to do is, as I transfer these into larger and larger containers as time goes by and getting ready to put it into soil, I like to bury more of the stem. So again, I'm really impressed with that root system we have here. Now, I have just a little bit of soil in the bottom, so that's my compost that I've made. It's the vermiculite, the perlite, and the peat moss. So I'm looking to get this down where I can bury a little bit more of the stem. So there we go. That should be a good height right there. So once I get these 4 in my trays, we'll go ahead and we'll add the soil to top it off. And that's a sign of a nice root system when you can get, yep, there we go. Come on. All the way down to the bottom, okay? Look at that. So I'll trim this. I gotta go get my trimmers. I'll cut this branch off and we'll get this in a bigger pot and we'll continue the process. We'll come back in just a minute and I'll show you what they look like. So again, the process is you start with the sucker. Once the roots come out of the bottom, we step up to the next size, if you will, container. And then in about 30 days, when I see roots significantly coming out of the bottom here, we'll go to a bigger pot. And again, each time burying more and more of that stem. The end result is a really healthy, hardy tomato plant that has a really well-developed root system and will ensure that you have lots of tomatoes. So I've got 4 transplanted, and what I've got here, I've moistened my soil. I've got a few more to do here, and then I'll go ahead, as I free up these cells here, I'll go ahead and harvest some suckers and I'll show you what that process looks like. So let me finish doing a few more of these. I've got to empty out my little bucket here because that has the compost. With the suckers that I start at the very beginning, I don't want any compost in there just yet. I want a really pure, clean, growing media. There you go, free tomato plants, huh? Nice. Oh boy, it's getting hot quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I did 5 of the suckers I did. I didn't put a date on them. I should probably do that just to see, but it's probably 3-4 weeks ago. And I talked about in last week's video that I'm experimenting now with the rosemary plants. These are all the chocolate cherry tomatoes. I'm just going to remove that right there. I'm going to get rid of this one too. I've got a slight angle cut. I'm going to coat as much as I can here, okay? And we'll stick it right there, and I like to go all the way to the bottom. So I already have a little soil in the very bottom, not a lot. This is the 3-part mixture right here, okay? And I'll talk about that in just 1 second. I really want to ensure there's nice contact between the stem of the sucker and this growing media. That's the process right there. What is this? This is equal parts. So I basically took a solo cup like this and I did 3 parts of perlite, 3 parts of vermiculite, and 3 parts, just a little bit more, of the peat moss. Peat moss is organic. The vermiculite and perlite are a horticulture quality. Here's our next sucker, a little bit bigger. We'll get rid of that. All this will go on my compost. This is a little bit longer stem. I'm going to cut it down just a little bit on an angle. Now, I'm sure there's probably some technicalities here with contaminating this root hormone. I have yet to find a problem with it. And from there, now real quick, you can see all those little, hopefully you can see them, those little fine, I'm going to call them roots. Those will grow into the roots, which is why this works out so well. And I'm gently working it down as much as I can to the bottom. I'm going to go ahead and grab my dibbler. What I'm going to do, for just the ease of this video, I'm going to fill these mostly up. Okay, I can do that. All right, and what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take my dibbler, and I got this on Amazon. I forget what I spent. It's maybe a $6 tool. The original ones are made out of wood. They're a little bit more money. It works for me. Let's get our next sucker. So this is the process that I did for all of these tomato plants that I just transplanted. Same exact procedure. Same growing media. Yeah. Now that I have my media in there with a hole, I can go right down to the bottom and I could take my finger and just compact around. Then I'll come back and I'll top it all off. Here's a small one. So we'll see. If you guys follow along, we'll see how these progress. They should all do really well. I had 100% success in rooting all of these tomato plants from suckers. So I'm feeling pretty confident right now that my growing media and this root hormone is a very viable way to get free tomato plants. All right, down as much as I can to the bottom. I'm compressing the soil. And our 6th one already has a sucker looking to grow out of it. I'm going to get rid of this one right here. It looks a little flimsy. We'll get that root hormone on there. All right, we'll come in very gently, work it down as far as we can. I don't want to damage them. So there we go. We've got 6 free chocolate cherry tomato plants. And as I mentioned, these, I had 2 plants that were a gift from a neighbor, friend. And I've never grown this variety. I have one of the plants in my tower garden, and I have one in a grow bag. They're the Geopots, one word, Geopots. They're available on Amazon. I bought mine years ago, and they're still holding up really well. So there we go. 6 different sizes, so we'll see if size matters or not. All right, and what I'll do is I'll just make sure this stays nice and moist. And as I see roots come out of the bottom, as I showed you a few minutes ago, that'll be my indication when I see a nice root system to pop these out. I've got another tray here. I'm going to fill this up, and I'm going to get some of my, oh gosh, what are they now? The Roma tomatoes. I'm going to do 6 of my Roma. Those are my favorite. I have not had a chance to try the chocolate cherry tomatoes yet, so they could turn out to be a favorite. So I'm going to set myself up with lots of those in addition to the Roma, which I know I love. You know what I say, I'm never too busy farming to cook. So I'm set for my next 6. And with the Roma tomatoes, I like to make a fresh tomato sauce. All right, let me go get some more suckers. This again is the cherry. Put that right in there, compact it. So you get the idea, right? I have 24 tomato plants that I started from suckers. Every sucker rooted, so I had 100% success with this method. So right now I'm going to say it's foolproof. Now I'm going to try my rosemary, and I'm going to try doing the longevity spinach. So I hope you're going to follow along to see how we progress with these, if we still continue to get 100 success rate on the suckers rooting. All right, I got to get back to work here. I've harvested another 5 of the Roma tomatoes. I should mention, if possible, right, everywhere I cut off a branch is a node. If you can get at least 1 node in your sucker, that would be preferable. All right, if you can get 2, even better. I'm not going to get that due to the depth of my container, the 6-cell tray I'm using. Again, if anyone's wondering, I believe this was also another Amazon purchase. These are really cheap, right? They're very inexpensive. I think you get like 50 or so. And I also got these. They're the same size, but you've seen me use these to start my seedlings. So we might as well just plant out these other 4. And that'll wrap up the cloning, propagating of my free tomato plants. My father-in-law used to say all the time, if it's free, it's for me. Here's a perfect example. Now I'm going to have too many, but you all know this channel is a joint venture with my son Gerald, and last year I think I gave him 50 tomato plants. He got more tomatoes than I did, so talk about not being fair, but boy do I feel good about that he's getting the bug, as I hope all of you are. Remember, this is a joy that lasts forever. I'm going to top these off. I already have a label in there. Because they're all the same, I'm just going to use 1 label, but if I don't label each one of these as I transplant them, I most certainly will forget which plants are which. Now I'm going to go ahead, set these in a tray, and I'm going to give it another watering. And the reason for that is when I water it, it helps to really compact the soil. So I'll give you an example of that right here. I don't know if you can see this or not, but see, when I do that, it helps the soil settle down. And that's probably the last thing I'll do as far as any real care. The rest of it is just make sure it stays moist, and we should have 100% success in rooting our tomato suckers. Therefore, we're getting free tomato plants from every sucker. And there's a benefit to taking your suckers off. They call them a sucker because they'll suck up a lot of the plant's energy and cause your tomato production to drop. Typically, I like 1 vine. Maybe I'll let it split off and I'll have 2 vines. And now the beauty is, as I'm removing those suckers, I'm getting them to root, and it gives me more plants. And now I'm going to have some nice, hardy, established tomato plants come the end of February, beginning to middle of March, that I can get in the ground. I got my tomato trellis. We have a video on that. It's about a $55 tomato trellis right now. I highly recommend it. It's inexpensive and it's going to last a lifetime. Anyway, I've got to get to watering these plants. I'll see you later. Remember, I'm busy farming, but never too busy to cook. Hi, neighbor. Narragansett, I believe is how it's pronounced. My brother-in-law Adam turned me on to this beer. I haven't had one in a long time. We were at Trader Joe's the other day and I grabbed a 6-pack. All right. Well, here's to another episode. Actually, episode number 1 for 2021. That's really good. Today is Sunday, January 3rd, I think it's almost 1 o'clock. Actually, it's 12:30. High of 65 degrees today. I just wanted to finish up this video by saying thank you for watching. I'd like to wish everybody a healthy, happy New Year 2021. I did want to comment on the root hormone. It's by Garden Safe. Take Root rooting hormone. Now, I went on to Amazon where I purchased it. I bought this towards the end of 2016. I don't, excuse me, Primo wants to go out. I purchased it at the end of 2016. It's just under $9 currently. It goes a long way, right? So we're 2021. I got it in 16. It's still working great. But the point I wanted to make is the manufacturer said in about 10 days, you'll see roots. I don't know what else I can say as far as success. 100% from suckers. I've been transplanting out of the 24. This is what I have left. Remember, these were those chocolate cherry tomatoes from a sucker. That was probably that big right there. Look at what we have now. And I did put a date on this. December 20th. So I'll say the results are remarkable. I've been doing this for coming up on 8 years, since 2013 actually is when I started the journey building my greenhouse. I've built cloning stations, I've gardened hydroponically, NFT, nutrient flow technique, Dutch buckets, birdies raised garden beds, tower gardens, just in soil. You know, I've learned a lot along the way. I don't profess to be an expert, but I think the cloning techniques are remarkable, and I hope you all give this a try. There's a look at the rosemary. I don't see any roots yet. I have a little Swiss chard here, but they're looking really healthy, and I've tried this in the past, and typically the little petals, if you will, or leaves, they don't look good. These look great, especially up at the top. So I'm going to assume that we're going to have success here, but we do know for the tomato plants with suckers, I've had 100% success in getting those suckers to root regardless of size. Again, I think the key is it's a sucker that we're harvesting. So I do want to thank you guys. Again, my producer director here, he's running the show. Primo, get away from my cilantro. Anyway, thank you all for watching. I am actually asking everyone now to please subscribe. Give us a like. I'm getting a lot of views in my last week's video, but I'm not getting a bunch of thumbs up. So if it's not good, I guess don't give me a thumbs up. But if you think you're learning something, it helps with the algorithms with YouTube. And please share it. Again, I hope you guys are learning something along this journey with me. So here's to 2021, the Greenhouse Garden Diaries. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you next week. I don't know what I'm going to do just yet, but we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching. And please, start growing something. All right? And I'd like to hear in your comments what you're growing. All right, we'll see you next week. Morning, December 31st, last day of 2020. I'm making some lentil soup. And finally, after, I think it's like 2 months, I'm getting to harvest one of my fennel plants. So this is the largest one outside. Let's see if we can get down here. All right. All right, not the biggest, but I'm dying to put some in my soup. And I'll utilize a lot of these also. So I might get one other inside the greenhouse. I also have to grab some rosemary. All right. Nothing like fresh rosemary. So I'm going to get some rosemary for the lentil soup. This week's episode, well, you'll have already seen it, but it's going to be on propagating, cloning my tomato suckers, and I'm going to show you how I'm doing the rosemary as well. Don't know how that's going to turn out as far as the rosemary, but I know the tomatoes, we're at like 100% success as far as getting them to root. That ought to be enough. If you're wondering in the background here, yesterday I started, or I'm continuing to weed and edge my food forest, and I had to trim back my Mexican sunflower, the cranberry hibiscus, and the red Turk's cap over here. I got to trim that one a little bit more. I pulled out all of my bamboo stakes that were for my tomato plants. I took down my tomato trellis I had in the back. Again, you would have seen quite some videos ago how I built a trellis and put it back over there. I'm not going to do that this year. So the journey continues on weeding, edging, trimming, and then remulching. So today, though, I'm going to go ahead and work on getting my soup cooked first. And these marigolds, look at all those seeds. A couple of these are like a $3, $4 pack of seeds if you buy them online. And what I'm doing here is I'm just broadcasting these. So I just take a bunch and throw them over there. We'll see if they root at all. All right, so later on I'll come back out here and I'm going to grab another one of these inside the greenhouse. But I'll come back out here later and I'll get some broccoli rabe, some Swiss chard. I have some escarole and kale. So that'll go in the soup, but that's towards the end. So let's go in the greenhouse. Let's grab another one of these. Check out those escarole plants. Just last episode, they were transplanted in here. Look at these tomatoes. All right, let's get, I think I'm gonna grab this one here. Yeah, that's another small one. So I'm a little premature on harvesting these, but wow, what a nice root system. I've said it before, nothing more rewarding than growing your own organic vegetables, harvesting them, and heading into the kitchen or to the outdoor kitchen and cooking with them. I just wanted to give you a preview. I'm coming out later, but look at the size of that broccoli rabe leaf. See the escarole? I'm going to be coming back later once the soup is simmering, and I'm going to take the larger leaves off of the escarole and the broccoli rabes. These things are huge. Let's check out the Kratky station. Okay, at the Kratky station, I'll come back later, harvest some of these leaves. Look at this Swiss chard. In the back is an escarole. The leaf is probably that big. I'll grab a couple of those. But at some point I'll have to remove some of these plants because it's definitely overcrowded. But there you are. Set it and forget it. Isn't that amazing? 2 weeks ago. All right, so there's what we've got. I'm heading in. I'm going to make some soup. I'm looking at my Tower Gardens, my Kratky station. Look at this. Look at that rack of tomatoes there. From here over to here, it's still flowering. And up top here, I've got more. I've got to get more clips. Everything's thriving. And next stop for these organic vegetables is going to be in our soup, lentil soup. All right, we'll see you later. Lentil soup base is simmering. Now, as I talked about before, all right, come on. That's out of the cracky method. Remarkable. Look at the size of this. I think I put this in this tower maybe 2-3 weeks ago. Again, I started all these from seedlings. So we're just trimming these back a little bit. They get a little too big here. Okay. I'll get a couple more over here. Oh, look at this Swiss chard. How's that? Huh? Beautiful. Get these down in water. It's hot in here. I like to get a variety, right? Different color stems. Oh, wow. Look at the size of this one. Another big one, right? Broccoli Rob. Now, I talked before about my escarole. Let me grab a couple of the larger leaves and I'll show you what we got here. We got one more right here. So, there's the escarole. I have one over here I wanted to get. And one more back here. When it gets up against the tower, I like to get them out of there. They're not going to do well. Oh, look at the size of this one. Whoops, I just cut my tag. Look at that beautiful escarole. And look at how much I have here real quick. I'm going to get a couple more of the larger leaves. And what I like to do after my soup has simmered, whoa, that's not going to be good. I gotta fix that. All right. After my soup is simmered, in the end, I like to throw some of these greens in. Let's see what else I can get here that's going to be a problem later. Now, these stalks here, I treat them like they're celery. So I'll cut these, I'll get those in the soup earlier, and then when I puree it, again, in the very end, we'll throw in our greens. But there was something else in here. Oh yeah, look at this. Now, I talked about this Swiss chard back over here a couple of episodes ago, how it was laying over not knowing what to do. It's standing up now. As I say, is these leaves, this is nothing. I've had them 4 times the size of this, so it'll be up here somewhere. I'm thinking that's probably enough. I did have, wait a second here, another large Swiss chard leaf. I do have some kale outside. I don't think I'm going to put any of that in. I've got broccoli Rob over here. Crazy. All right. Let me go inside, give this a quick wash. I'm going to chop it up, and I'll just leave it sitting in a bath of cold water, and they'll be ready to cook later. Primo wants out. He says it's hot in here. It's hot in here. All right, look at that. Huh? What do you think all that would run you in the supermarket for organic? $5, $8 maybe? Look at this. Listen, you got to start growing your organic vegetables and start cooking with them. Especially you, Camden. I'm going to be FaceTiming you later. All right, I got to get back to cooking.